Hello aspirants, welcome to another session of the daily newspaper analysis. This video is brought to you by the Gurudev Academy. My name is Ashwin. So let's look at the questions that were given in the last video. Firstly, which city was recently declared as the first cultural and tourism capital of the SCO? This is a very important fact. This may be a potential question in your question paper. So here the answer is Varanasi. Okay, so this is not permanent. Every year there will be nominating one cities by the SCO. So this is the first one. Secondly, the current account of the balance of payment includes the transaction lag, import and exports of goods and services, transfer to and fro from abroad, income to and fro from abroad. So we have seen in a previous video what balance of payment is and what all it includes. So here the answer is all of the above. It includes all of these transactions here. Nextly, which of the following countries are not a member of SCO? When we look at it, which of the following countries are not a member of SCO? The answer here is Turkmenistan. Okay, Turkmenistan is not a member of SCO. Then coming to the last question, which of the following countries don't share its borders with Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Iran, Iraq and Kuwait? The answer here is Jordan. Okay, so these are the questions that we looked at. Friends, please, whatever the questions we are giving, they are very beneficial. They are your prelims oriented questions, UPSC prelims oriented questions. So please write the answers in the comment section. Please solve these questions. It is very helpful for you all. Moving on, these are the topics that we are going to look at. Firstly, we are going to look at this. This is the article that has come up in your the Hindu explained section. Fine. So we will be looking at this one. Firstly, why is Kerala protesting Supreme Court ESZ notifications? We look at what ESZ is. That is your ecological. That is your ecologically sensitive zones. We'll look at it and why the Kerala government right now is opposing it. These are the topics we will be looking ahead. Firstly, we have to understand what ecologically sensitive zone is. See, we have national parks, wildlife sanctuaries. Okay, so these are all protected areas, right? These are all protected areas. So what the government here is doing is the government declares ESZ under your Environment Protection Act of 1986, and according to it, around these national parks, okay, 10-kilometer radius, okay, these 10-kilometer radius areas, it is declared as ESZ here. Fine, ecologically sensitive areas. These are again protected areas. Here, what kind of activities are prohibited here? Polluting industries, okay, polluting industries as well as hazardous industries, fine, as well as your hydroelectric projects. These are all excluded from these protected areas. Okay, protected areas near, if around the radius of 10 kilometers, if such projects are being taken up, they are not allowed. This is what ESZ is. So when we look at what is the issue here, so recently Supreme Court has said that it is mandatory, okay, it is mandatory for every protected areas to have a ESZ of minimum 1 kilometer. Okay, so previously what used to be happen, the state governments used to be notified by the center here that such and such area should be notified as ESZ, but now the Supreme Court is saying that it is mandatory for every national park or the protected areas to have this 1 kilometer radius. Fine, so this is what the issue is. But what is the issue here? When we look at the Kerala, okay, Kerala, when we look at the state here, Kerala has 30% of forested land already. It has 48% covering 48% of its land which is under Western Ghats. Also, it has a network of lakes, canals, wetlands and coastlines. Seeing how small the Kerala state is, okay, how much land is available already. So out of it, and when we also look at another factor here, that is the population density, it is the highest in the country. It is around 900 people per square kilometer. So such, when we are already conserving so much of land, when such land is already your ecologically important areas, and then with this small land, and we have one more factor here which we have to count in, that is the population density, which is high in this state. So when such demographic pressure is exerted on already available small land, it will, okay, it is exerting a lot of pressure here. So what the Kerala government is saying here is that the Kerala government is saying that this has to be, okay, so whatever the ESZ that we are going to declare, Okay, so so we have seen in ESZ these are all the sort of activities that are prohibited in ESZ. So what the Kerala government is saying is you have to exclude human habitation, farmland and public institutions. Like we are seeing some churches that are opposing these ESZ norms as well. So what the Kerala government is trying to do, the Kerala government is trying to allow human habitation in this ESZ. It is trying to allow your public institutions to be allowed to be present in this ESZ. This is the issue. So right now the center has said that we will be discussing these issues with the state government of Kerala. So we will look ahead if some changes are being made or if this will be implemented. Fine. So when there is update of news, we will be discussing this again. This despite SC alarm, bail is still not a norm. Okay, so this talks about the bail laws. The Supreme Court recently has asked the center to devise a new bail law so that it is simple and streamlined. Okay, it is simple procedure for bail. Fine. So again, this has come in today's newspaper, but yesterday in the explained section there was in detail about this bail law. So we will I am combining both the articles and we'll just look at it. What is the Supreme Court saying here? The Supreme Court has observed that arrest, okay, it is a draconian measure and it should be used sparingly. Why? Because when nowadays we are seeing that the police has been used by some of the states to arrest, okay, to arrest even though arrest is not required in those cases. So the Supreme Court is saying that arrest has become a draconian measure and it has to be used sparingly. It has to be only used when it is needed. Secondly, it says that jail is an exception, okay, to Article 21 and presumption of innocence until proven guilty. This again, it is the same thing that the Supreme Court is saying here. Supreme Court is saying here the arrest is not needed until someone is proven guilty. Innocence has to be the prerequisite whenever you are inquiring someone. So this is the second observation. Thirdly, it says that unwarranted arrest, violation of section 41 and 41A. See, section 41 and 41A of CRPC gives directives and gives measures and procedures of how arrest should be taken place, if arrest has to be taken place. These are all the measures that have been given. But the Supreme Court is observing that these sections of CRPCs are not followed and arrests are made unnecessarily. Moving ahead, so what does the present law say? The present law is the present bail law. It is covered, the provisions are mentioned in CRPC Act of 1973. See, when an offence is committed, okay, if any offence is committed, there are two types of offences committed, that is either it is bailable or it is non-bailable. So when it is a bailable offence, okay, when it is a bailable offence, section 436 of the CRPC says that bail is a right. So when a bailable offence is committed, bail has to be given. It is a right of that person. But when we look at the non-bailable, it is governed under section 436. Non-bailable offences are for such kind of offences, the bail is not a norm. It is not a right of that person. It is under the discretion. Okay, it is under the discretion of the courts whether they have to give a bail for that offence. So circumstances in non-bailable cases is mentioned in the section 437. Moving ahead, what are the guidelines? Okay, what are the guidelines of the court when we look at the bails? Okay, previously also the court has come up with the bail issue, because what is happening is normally when arrests are taken, okay, when such unwarranted, when unnecessary arrests are taken, the conviction rate is very low. Okay, conviction rate is very, very low. So that is why the Supreme Court many a times has asked these states as well as the center to have a proper bail norm, bail rules, as well as to avoid arrest if it is not necessary. So what are the guidelines that the court has given over the years? It says that bail pleas, okay, the bail pleas have to be disposed under 2 weeks, as well as anticipatory bails have to be disposed under 6 weeks. This is one of the guidelines that the Supreme Court has come up. Also it has said that accused can be granted bail on own discretion. Like sometimes what may happen is, in case of bailable cases, in case of bailable cases, what may happen is, if an accused is appearing in front of a court, okay, if he has appeared in front of a court, but he has to appear again, but appear on the next day or some other week or whenever the court has given the date. But what normally happens is, the police assume that he's under detention and they take him to the jail. But what the court here is saying is that if such bailable offences have been committed and if the person has to visit the court again, then they can be released on a bond and they can visit and they can come on the next hearing. This is what the Supreme Court has observed here. One more important thing is about the section 41 and section 41A. See, section 41, as I told you, it is the procedure. Okay, it prescribes the procedure. It gives the procedure about the police to the police personals about the arrest and detention. Fine. So here, what the Supreme Court has observed, that whenever section 41 and 41A of CRPC are violated, then it is non-compliance with the sections of the CRPC Act. Then bail is the result. Okay, it will lead to bail. Many a times, Supreme Court has said this, that whenever the center and the state, okay, when under their administration, if section 41 and 41A are not followed, then the bail is a norm and it is a compulsory and it is a right. Fine. So at the end, the Supreme Court has also asked the center here to devise a bail law on basis of British bail law. Okay, British law on bail. So similar lines, the Supreme Court has asked the center. So we will look ahead if in future the center comes up with any new laws relating to bails. If such, we will discuss again. Then so this one, Navy decommissioned Sindhudhvaj. Okay, so when we look at the history of Sindhudhvaj, so Sindhudhvaj, it was inducted in the army in 1987 here, and it is a 10 kilo class submarine which was acquired from Russia. Okay, please note, it was acquired from Russia, but there was a fire accident that happened in 2013, and then Sindhudhvaj. Okay, they have mentioned about another submarine, that is Sindhudhvaj. Sindhudhvaj was transferred to Myanmar in 2020, making it Southeast Asia nation's first underwater platform. Okay, so for Southeast Asia nations, Sindhudhvaj was the first submarine. Fine. So please, two things you have to note here. From where the Sindhudhvaj was acquired, it was acquired from Russia here. It is a 10 kilo class submarine. Okay. By 10 kilo, we don't mean that it is the total weight. It is a project. Okay, it is one kind of a project. And also you have to know about Sindhudhvaj. Okay, Sindhudhvaj, it is again of Indian Navy, and it is first Southeast Asian submarine. Okay, so these are the points. Now we have to look at the India's submarine development program. There are India in total has 15 submarines right now. There are three types of submarines that India has right now. The first is diesel electric submarines. The second is nuclear powered attack submarines, as well as the nuclear powered ballistic missile submarines. When we look at the difference between these two, diesel electric submarines and the nuclear powered attack submarines, see, this diesel electric submarines cannot be underwater for forever. They have to come up, because the propulsion system is like that. They have something called as air propulsion system. Because of it, they have to come on the surface at times. Okay, they cannot be underwater for a long time or forever. But here, when we look at the nuclear power attack submarines, these have a better propulsion system, and hence they can remain in underwater indefinitely. The only time they can come up is for the requirement of any crew, or if there is some emergencies, only at that time they can come up. But diesel electric have to come up. When we look at the submarines here, one of the important projects that is going on right now is P75, that is Calvary class. Okay, Calvary class submarines are being developed. These are the diesel electric submarines that are being developed. This is an important project for India. Secondly, when we look at the SSN, that is your nuclear powered attack submarines, India is only the 6th nation to have your nuclear powered attack submarines. Fine, India is only the 6th nation to have this kind of infrastructure. Then one of the important nuclear powered attack submarines that India has right now is INS Chakra 2. Okay, it is being leased from Russia. Fine, whatever, this is also brought from Russia. Then when we look at the most important one, that is your nuclear powered ballistic missiles submarine. Here it is the same. It is nuclear powered. The propulsion system is the same as this one, that is your SSN, that is nuclear powered attack submarine. But the special feature here is it can be equipped with your nuclear weapons. Okay, INS Arihant is the name. Okay, INS Arihant is the name of India's first own developed nuclear powered ballistic missile submarines. Okay, it has been built with the collaboration of French Navy. Okay, it has been built with the collaboration of French Navy. Right now it is equipped with two kinds of missiles, that is K-15 Sagarika and also K-4. These are the two main missiles. Please remember, it is the first and India has developed its own indigenous, okay, it is indigenous nuclear attack submarine, fine, INS Arihant. Then now that we can launch nuclear missiles from sea, then India has completed nuclear triad. Okay, nuclear triad, we mean that the nuclear weapons can, now India can launch its nuclear weapon from air, from water as well as land. Okay, so India is one of the few countries to be having completed this nuclear triad. Okay, moving on. So this is the last article for the day. When we look at it, so this we will be doing more in detail about this, but for now we'll just understand what is the basis of this. So here it talks about Joe Biden, the President of United States, as I mentioned in previous videos as well. He's in West Asia, and West Asia is a important geopolitical area for in the world. Okay, so when we look at it, Biden firstly he visited Israel here. Okay, Israel, there was this conference going on. Israel Sunni Arab countries conference is going on here, and here he also visited the Palestinian areas, but he didn't speak anything about the illegal occupation that Israel has been doing in Palestine, as well as his meeting with Mohammed bin Salman of UAE was very significant, of Saudi Arabia, sorry, okay, Saudi Arabia was very significant because Mohammed bin Salman, he's been accused by the CIA previously for killing in 2018 of one of the important person, that is your important person, that is Jamal Khashoggi. Okay, he was a journalist. So he Salman has been accused here by the CIA, and Trump administration was keenly following this. They were convinced that Mohammed bin Salman was involved in the killing, but Joe Biden visit, it is a significant step here because it can be seen that the US here is taking a back step with the accusation of Mohammed bin Salman of killing of the journalist. So it is very significant. Here there was this US Arab summit that took place in Jeddah. Okay, took place in Jeddah. It is very important here because here when we talk about Arab leaders and the US collaboration, it is mainly Sunni leaders cooperation, Sunni Muslims leaders. Okay, so when we look at Sunni Muslim leaders, the only country which is excluded is Iran. Okay, so US is trying to have a proper geopolitics here, but US is trying to have a strategy here for regional balance. Why? Because see, Iran, when we look at it, Iran has been always at swords with US. It has always has some or the other conflicts with Israel. So and also Saudi Arabia. Most of the recent times when we see the drone attacks that has been happening, war in Yemen, when we look at it, where Saudi Arabia is siding with one faction and Iran is helping the other factions there. Okay, so when we look at West Asia, Saudi Arabia and Iran are the main players there. And when we expand the area, okay, when we include Israel as well, Israel previously has been war with the Arab world, but now Israel has recognized that Iran is its main problem. That is why Iran has been having this good relation with these Arab countries, only the Sunni countries. It has recently started providing airspace to Saudi Arabia, okay, Kuwait. These are all the countries with which Israel is trying to have a better relation. So why is US low? What are the main intentions of US in this region, West Asia, when we look at it? See, US has two main intentions, that is regional balance. Okay, to maintain the regional balance, the US does not want Iran to dominate here. That is why firstly Iran, previously the Barack Obama administration, they signed something called as JCPOA. Okay, so JCPOA was mainly to stop Iran from to developing its own nuclear weapons. Okay, in turn, what US was going to do is US was going to lift all the economic sanctions that has been put on Iran. Okay, so but Trump came out of this agreement, and now Joe Biden, we don't know what his stand is on this agreement. So when we look at it, the regional balance right now, now that US is out of the agreement, how US is trying to balance this regional politics is by by this Israel Sunni Arab countries. Okay, by integrating these Arab Sunni Arab countries as well as the Israel, what US is trying to do is US is trying to balance the regional geopolitics here. Then energy security. Okay, so since the war has started, Russian oil, okay, or Russian oil supplies have been increased to some of the nations, like even to India as well. So and oil prices are rising because of it, because of the availability of oil has come down. So what US is saying to Saudi Arabia right now is that it has to expand, okay, it has to expand its oil supplies, it has to increase its oil production. But see, Saudi Arabia is a very good friend of Russia first, then of US. So and previously when the CIA was accusing Saudi Arabia of Saudi Arabian prince of this killing, it has somewhat dented the relation between US and Saudi Arabia. So it has to be seen whether Saudi Arabia will try to follow what US has said and increase its production. See, okay. So when we look at the overall picture here, the geopolitics right now in this West Asia is very complicated. With the entry of Israel, it has become more complicated because previously the Arab world has always opposed the Palestinian occupation done by Israel. So it is kind of a mixed reactions that comes up from this relation. So it has to be seen how it grows. Mainly US right now is very fatigued. US cannot indulge in another war. It can only follow the policy of pacifism. Okay, pacifism, but in these things as well, when US wants to engage with this West Asia, it is ignoring so many issues, like as we discussed earlier, is this Palestinian occupation done by Israel, as well as West Asia is famous for its human rights violation. So it has to be seen how this relation grows up. When we look at India's angle here as well, India is mainly focusing on West Asia because of its energy security. Okay, so it has to be seen how this relation grows. I hope in the coming days there will be some editorial about this. When some editorials come about, we will look at this issue again. So that's all. You can follow us on these social media handles. You can follow us on YouTube, you can follow us on Telegram, Instagram, Facebook. So please comment the answers that will follow after these slide. Thank you.